Shalom, shalom. I'm back on, man. Having technical difficulties. But yeah, back into a certain law. This law in what was this? Deuteronomy 21 and 18 through 21. Speaking on this law that if Esau would have had enacted this law and enforced it as a law in his wicked kingdom, then we would have way less problems out of niggas and niggettes, man. You wouldn't really have a nigger problem, you know. But really, if you enforce the whole law of the Bible, that's when your society would be righteous. But instead, Esau chose the opposite. So I'm gonna get right back into it. This is part 2. Like I said, I was having some technical difficulties. So what was I at? I was on Deuteronomy 32 and 7, and it goes. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. And you know what's jacked up? A lot of us don't have fathers in our life, you know? Ask thy father, and he will tell thee. And if you do got a father, a lot of times your father is foolish, man. You know? And that comes from us falling away from everything, falling away from our laws, statutes, and commandments, man. Falling away from the wisdom and knowledge and understanding of this Bible, man. So if you had a righteous father, he'd be able to tell you something like, hey, we should be beating the hell out of our kids. We're not beating the hell out of our kids, but beating the hell out of our disobedient children, man. You know, we need to discipline them. That's the way of old. And if you go back even older, it tell you, if you keep having to discipline this person over the same thing and they constantly stubborn and rebellious, man, they don't want to listen. You know, they're a drunkard and a glutton and just sitting there using up your bills and utilities, man, and disrespecting you. Guess what? According to the Bible, in the ancient world, those young men were put to death, man. And that applied to a female, to a young woman, a stubborn and rebellious daughter. So I'm gonna read this word degenerate, because we have definitely degenerated as a people, man. You know, we get worse and worse every generation. So degenerate, late 15th century, it says having lost or suffered impairment to the qualities proper to the race or kind. Exactly. We lost, and the quality of us is impaired compared to our forefathers. So I'm going to keep reading from Latin degeneratus, past particle of degenerare, to be inferior to one's ancestors. And that's what we are. We're inferior to our ancestors right now. And it says to become unlike one's race or kind. Exactly. We degenerated. We went away from what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be a special people who live in the image of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah. You know? And it says, to become unlike one's race or kind. Exactly. Now we're like the heathen. Now we're like the heathen, man. We're like beasts right now. I'm speaking in general. I'm not talking about all of us brothers who trying to do right, man. I'm speaking in general as our people. Because in general, our people are like beasts right now, man. Because we're lawless. We're under the law of the enemy, in which he's a lawless man. Those laws are null and void for real, in the eyes of the Most High. You know? We're supposed to be up under that righteous law, which is the law of the Bible. And it says to fall from ancestral quality, used of physical as well as moral qualities, from phrase degenerate, from the, off, away from, and genus, birth, descent. So let me go back. Right here, it says degenerate. And it says in the Latin, there's D is away from, and Latin is a race or kind. And you keep scrolling down, it says no longer of its kind. No longer of its kind, man. That's how we are as a people right now. We're debased. We have fell away from who we were. We fell away from our glory, man. You know, we fell away from our regalness, our studiousness, our righteousness. We fell away from being stewards of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. We fell away from our culture, our laws, you know. And now look at us, the worst. We like the worst heathen out there, man. So it's sad that you can't really ask your father about. Well, you could ask him some things, and you can get little hints and little tokens from him. Maybe he'll tell you about his father's father, how they were much. What's the word I'm looking for? Much more proper than the ones of us today. Much more proper, man. And so we have degenerated as a people, but we're going back into our glory days. We're going back into better than our heyday. We're going to be similar to how we was in our heyday, but far better, because when you read Hebrews 8 and 8. No, let me get Jeremiah 33 and 7 real quick. Let me hit Hebrews 8 and 8. Jeremiah 33 and 7 real quick. Jeremiah 33 and 7. It goes, and I will cause, let me see. I'm going to start at verse 6, Jeremiah 33 and 6. Behold, I will bring it health and cure. And I will cure them. Salakia, man. I had a little interruption, my bad. This is Jeremiah 33 and 6. Behold, I will bring it health and cure. And I will cure them and reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. Exactly, man. People need a cure, because you see these jakes, the way they look at each other, that's sickening. That's a sickness, man. The way they treat each other, man. The way these jakes are today, all that laziness and all, that's a sickness, man. The Lord said He's gonna cure our people, man. And the main sickness amongst our people is the 2/3, man. They're a sickness. They're a dis-ease to the whole body of Israel. That's why 2/3 of our body gonna get cut off, man. They're a sickness, so the Lord gonna cure us of that sickness. 2/3 gotta be destroyed. Thermonuclear destruction, man. That's in the Bible. But it says now, but I will bring it health and cure, and I will cure them and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth, man. And these bodies gotta be, this old skin, it gotta be destroyed too, man. We're gonna get our new bodies in the kingdom, man. That's curing too, man. These bodies is weak as hell and sickly as hell, man. So, and I will cause the captivity of Judah and the captivity of Israel to return. So the Lord is bringing Judah and Israel, the northern kingdom and southern kingdom of the Israelite people, to return back to Him. They're going to be placed back into the land. And He will build them as at the first. What was we at the first, man? Under our law, statutes, and commandments, man. But of course, we won't be sacrificing animals anymore. The priests won't be just Levites anymore. We're going to be a nation of kings and priests. And a few other laws won't be in effect. But those laws are going to be put in our inward parts, man. So we're going to be far more righteous than at the first. You know what? Let me get Hebrews 8 and 8. Hebrews 8 and 8. It says, for finding fault with them, He said, behold, the day is come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Exactly, for finding fault with our people. The law wasn't at fault. It was us that was at fault. The Most High created a perfect law, but we are not a perfect people. So for finding fault with us, He, behold, the day is come, said the Lord, when Yahweh will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. So you got these heathens talking about a new covenant. Hey, the new covenant specifically said with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, man. So, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, and the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, but because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, said the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. It says, for this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. Exactly. So we won't have to really enforce Deuteronomy 21 and 18 through 21 on our people, because you won't have a stubborn and rebellious son, because those laws are going to be put in our inward parts, man. So we won't be able to break those laws. We won't be able to sin. And you read the word sin. Slaki, you look up the word sin in 2 John, what's that? 1 John 3 and 4, I think. It says sin is the transgression of the law, man. We won't be able to transgress into those laws. So we won't have to stone our stubborn and rebellious son amongst us. But that law will be enforced on the heathen, man. It will be enforced on the heathen. You know? For real, for real. And the heathen will be up under all our laws, man. The whole law. And they're going to have to keep those laws. And it will be enforced, like literally forced upon them. You know, just like they forced their laws, their wicked laws upon us, we're going to force righteous laws upon them. And that's in the kingdom of heaven. Let's see. Yeah, let me see. Let me get this law right here, in which this is a totally natural law right here. Totally natural. Hold on. Leviticus. Leviticus 19. You're supposed to do this one by nature, man. 19 and 17. It goes, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt not in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Exactly, man. We're supposed to love our brother, love our neighbor, man. But instead, in these times, up under these curses, Jake got nothing but hate for each other. Even if they act like they love you, man, they go behind you, talk behind your back, shit on you behind your back, man. And in my city, Negroes are known for backdooring each other, man, snaking each other and killing each other. They play your friend and all that other stuff, but then they line you up, man, and get you killed. And that's an epidemic out here. But we're supposed to love our brother, and that's going to be in our hearts and our inward parts in the kingdom. So it's going to be all love between the Israelite people, man. It ain't going to be no all Latin tribes hating on the southern tribes. It ain't going to be no, oh, that nigga a light-skinned nigga, or oh, that nigga a dark-skinned nigga, or oh, he from this hood. Even now, it ain't going to be none of that. It's going to be all love, man. It's going to be all love, man. You know, and that's a beautiful thing, man. So the Lord going to settle us, establish us as at the first, but even better. You know? And let me see. You know what? I'll leave it right there, man. Lord willing, you be edified, man. You know, Lord willing, you be edified. If only this devil would have enacted some of these righteous laws, man, you won't have certain problems. But he's the devil, so you can't expect him to enforce a righteous law. You know, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem and Kakwadash. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Kwam Yashala, a Bible ball.